Greetings, everyone. My name is James Spader, and I am filling in for Miss B. Harper from SuperMarcy.com. Lovely, lovely girl, if a little bit deluded. You see, I think that she thinks that she is a decent movie reviewer. I think she isn't quite so good, but she's such a lovely girl, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. Now, the reason why I'm here is because I'm going to talk to you about Crash. No. Not the Oscar bait, overrated crap fest. I am talking about David Cronenberg's 1996 sicko movie, Crash. You see, I remember when David Cronenberg came to me, and he asked me to be in one of his movies. And I must say, I was very, very happy about that. I said, sure, James, sure, David, what do you want me to do? I remember David Cronenberg saying, well, we want you to have sex with Holly Hunter, Deborah Kerr Unger, and Elias Koteas in a car crash. And I said, okay. During the filming, he also told me that I was going to have a gay sex scene with Elias Koteas. And I said, okay. And that was it. That was just me having sex in car crashes, and I must say, I'd like to know what that man was smoking, because when I went over to go and see Mr. David Cronenberg, he said that he was a man of distinctive tastes. I thought he just meant wine and cheese. You learn something new every day. I can't do this anymore, guys. I really am sorry. 1996's Crash by David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg is a phenomenal filmmaker, and I'm pretty sure all of you out there are very much aware of that. The Fly, Existence, Videodrome, the guy's, paved a career for himself in body horror, and for very good reason. He's very astute when it comes to showing you horror in a very unconventional form. I remember seeing his very first film, Shivers, and it basically involves this sex parasite, and it gets into people's bodies and infects them, and it makes them want to fuck everything and everybody around. And it's a sick, twisted little film, and you can see the genesis of what would later on shape David Cronenberg as a director. The fella has a very keen eye for just making your stomach turn, and although Crash isn't necessarily something like The Fly or Videodrome in terms of calling upon the supernatural or the meta-scientific, the Crash tells the story of a tale of a bunch of people who are absolutely dead inside. And the only way that they can feel life, if they can feel energy, is by putting themselves into physical jeopardy, i.e. being in car crashes. This movie is a sick puppy. I will not lie in saying that. Would I say that it is particularly offensive, in this day and age? Not really. I mean, look, it doesn't leave much to the imagination in terms of showing you just how sick these people are. There is a female character who has injuries on the back of her thighs, I believe, and it actually looks like a vulva, a female vulva, and James Spader's character, basically puts his dick into that and, has sexual intercourse that way. This film makes no bones about showing you just how, disturbed and how troubled the lead characters are, especially Elias Koteas. Koteas is a phenomenal actor, and I think he doesn't get nearly enough recognition, generally speaking. But his character, he is absolutely obsessed with famous car crashes, and his ultimate aspiration is to replicate the car crash that killed James Dean. And he's the way he talks about these car crashes, like when he's conducting these seminars, so to speak, the way he speaks about these things, it's almost like an erotic novel. He's just so voluptuous in the way that he describes, the various elements that were at play during the car crash and the after effects, and, how jeopardy, affects us, how it affects our brain chemistry and everything like that. This film is a whole sort of a dark, deep psychological insight into people who who are so cold, that don't have anything inside of them. And the only way to awaken any sort of sense of life is to, put themselves and others into danger. Now, the thing is that these people won't do it with just anyone. They need to find other like-minded people. And in a sense, it is kind of a film about bonding, like bonding with people who are like you. They don't initiate people into their collective who have absolutely no conception about what interests them. They tend to attract and gravitate towards each other. And I think this is Cronenberg saying that no matter how damaged, people may be, there's always going to be people like them in the world that are able to keep them company. Or else I have completely missed the general sort of what the movie is saying. But as I said, this film makes no illusions into showing you just how demented this particular group of people are. You have James Spader, Koteas, Deborah Unger, and Holly Hunter in the lead roles, and all of them are fantastic. You would think that all of them have been possessed by some sort of that they were robots in a way. They feel nothing inside, and only in these really dire mortal danger circumstances, that's when a spark of life happens. But it's a very sort of fleeting experience for all of them, and they're trying to find the ultimate, high, and that is, of course, death. That the final car chase of the movie involves James Spader and Deborah Unger. They play a married couple, and throughout the film, they've had lots of extramarital affairs, and there's no other real way for them to get off with each other unless they are talking about what happened during their trysts with these other people. And in this final sequence, it involves Spader's character, chasing Unger in their cars. It's almost like a nature wildlife documentary, like Spader is the lion and she is the antelope, but there is a definitive playful edge to it. And the way it ends is that they avoid death, much to their chagrin. And I think it's Spader's character that says, maybe the next time. And that goes to imply that, maybe next time we will reach our ultimate climax by finally leaving this world. It's very fascinating that every single character in this movie wants to transcend, but they're picking a hell of a way to do it. While religious enlightenment tends to lend a lot more to that sort of character trait, to them, death is the ultimate life. It is letting go of your humanly bonds. It is escaping your flesh, your muscles, your bones, and, attaining that unimaginable sense of nirvana. It's a sick movie, and I think that's the reason why I like it, because you don't get a movie like this every so often. And given what censorship has done to the movies lately, I mean, we still have, that torture porn, but the thing is with torture porn is that it doesn't have any sort of emotional depth to it. Or, when it does, and I'm not saying it always doesn't, like, people tend to remember the more physical, gruesome details. And although Crash has quite a few of those, this is still very much a character piece. This film is about the people. It is about their psychology, and it's about how they think. And that is what makes this film so memorable, and it still continues in its legacy. It may not be as well known as some of David Cronenberg's other films, but I still feel it is a very, very strong movie, and it makes a very bold statement. In a sense, it's also a bit of a cautionary tale in that saying you have to be careful with how you spend your time on Earth and how you gain your pleasures. All the characters in this film have, probably reached a zenith of, their desire. And after they've reached that peak, they're saying, what do we do now? Like, how do we achieve that maximum satisfaction? Because we're not able to do that anymore. No amount of sex can do that. The only type of sex we like is, having sex with each other when we're injured from, being in a car crash. It's a very sort of distressing notion, but at the same time, Cronenberg isn't judging anybody with this movie. He isn't condemning people who actually do think like this, who exist in the real world. I guess it's like a celebration and a bit of a cautionary tale. It depends on how you look at it. But in conclusion, Crash is a very good film. It's not for everybody, I won't lie there, but if you value films that have something more to say than showing you some, really icky things, it's quite a feast, so to speak. And may I say, I'm not going to lie here and say that there are elements of this film that are tremendously erotic. I don't know what that says about me. But look, David Cronenberg's Crash, to me, is a solid 4 out of 5. I don't really have a reason for not giving it a 5 out of 5, but I would think that if I were to really consider this, I just wish this film had reached a more mainstream. Now, that's not to say that it should have sacrificed its own principles in order to be more accessible, but this film deserves far more recognition. It deserves far more insight than what it has already received. There's quite a few really good works out there, talking about this movie and discussing the characters and Cronenberg's motivation behind making this movie. But I still feel this film could have benefited from even more exposure. Because if The Fly can do it, and The Fly is a very widely renowned horror film, and it still retains the intellectual edge that most of Cronenberg's films have. And yeah, I just wish that Crash was given far more recognition, but I guess the only reason, well, rather I should say, the only reason that it hasn't is because not enough people have seen it, and therefore word of mouth can only go so far. So yeah, that was my my crash course in Crash, and yeah, it's a movie you need to see for yourself. To listen to me ramble about it would give this film no service whatsoever. It is a film that needs to be experienced by the beholder, you. So in conclusion, what? I have James Spader on the brain, guys. David Cronenberg's Crash is a very good movie, and I would highly recommend it if you are after something that's very different, very gruesome, and very disturbing. So yes, this has been James Spader, taking over from Miss B. Harper. Take it easy, and bye-bye.